Okay, anyway, so I went and saw, is it Dear Jane, Tell Jane? This is the movie about abortion that's out. This is my type of movie. Okay, so first of all, the main character is like very suburban, white housewife or whatever, but the issue is she is pregnant and she has a heart defect. So her regular primary care physician tells her if you have the baby, there's like a 70% chance you're going to die because you're already having this heart defect, and the pregnancy is putting more pressure on your heart and your body won't be able to take it. But if you terminate the pregnancy, your heart will probably heal itself. So then she goes to the board of directors at the hospital where she lives or whatever, and they're basically like, yeah, no, because abortion is illegal at that point, and they're like, we don't really give a shit. So they all vote to like force her to have the baby, and they're like, this child is so valuable. And she was like, what about the child's mother? And they were like, fuck that. And everybody was all the way, they were at the table, they were just like this, they were like, That's when you know men ain't shit, bro. They all sat around that table like, fuck this bitch. Just let her die. And so she's like, all right, fuck that. Like, and then like one of her doctors tells her like, okay, so if you basically go to your primary care physicians and you tell them that you're suicidal, they will let you terminate the pregnancy because they don't want you to kill yourself and the baby because that would be 2 lives lost. And so she does that and it kind of starts to work, but like the second in the office of the second psychologist that she sees, he kind of like picks up on her like gimmick, and so she has to get 2 psychologists to approve this, psychiatrists, excuse me, to approve this in order for it to like be valid. And so he gives her the number to like Jane. And so Jane is a group of women, it's like an organization, it's a group of women who organize basically to provide safe and secure abortion. So they have like one so-called like doctor or whatever, and he's the one like actually doing the surgery. The weird part, yeah, so I guess the abortion pills were not available or something at this point in time because he's doing like a literal whole, it's like he's not putting people under. So I guess first of all, these have to be like really early term pregnancies, like 15 weeks or less. And yeah, it looked like he was just like sticking a little metal piece in to try to maybe like dismember the embryo. It kind of felt like that's what he was going for. But anyway, so basically the white mom, she gets this at that point in time. The doctor is charging like $600 for it. So at that time, and even now, like $600 is actually like kind of out of reach for like if you're really thinking about like being broke or something and not having your shit together, coming up with $600 is kind of hard. And so especially at that time, $600 was like a lot of fucking money, like a lot of money. This is like back in, I feel like the 50s or something. So $600 was actually like a lot of money. Anyway, so that basically meant that the only women who were able to get the abortions were like wealthy women already. So these are women who already had families, who already had husbands, who had really high power jobs, and mostly they were white. And so that means that anyone who initially, in terms of Jane and its policies, anyone who wasn't who didn't have the money could not get the service. Like they just weren't providing free services because the one doctor that they had on staff was just like a super capitalist. So he just realized like nobody else, it was actually illegal to perform the service. So he was taking like a very big risk by even performing the service. And so then, once he does, he's like, he can charge an arm and a leg. So he's got this like really awesome house, a whole pool, like he's living really well, right? And he's doing like a ton of these, not a ton, he was doing like 10 or something. And then they had like a long list of women though who wanted it, and some of the women were low income, and so they were being turned away. And so basically the housewife who ended up getting the procedure done by Jane, the Jane organization stayed connected with her and kind of like recruits her on by asking her to just drive another woman to get the procedure, and then they ask her to do more stuff and more stuff. And then she basically becomes like a nurse to the doctor, just helping him like by holding the women's hands. And then she basically goes on to get him to teach her how to do the procedure. And she figures out that the guy who's performing the procedures is not a doctor. He actually just went and read a medical text and figured out how to perform abortions. He just like, his thing is like, he was like the first YouTuber basically. He like literally went to the medical library, read a book, and then the woman goes into the medical library, she like steals the book, and then so she teaches herself how to do it, and then gets him to like, basically she does what is it, like she does a residency program. Like, this bitch is like the first, she was like Meredith Grey, right? She's like going through residency by like shadowing a dude doing abortions. So now the new major is like abortion specialty. I'm sorry, the whole thing was great. And so then she basically is like, I feel bad about this, I don't want to provide the service anymore. Because she like, so the organization Jane ends up firing the shady doctor, and they're just like, okay, you're gonna do it now. But then she starts feeling bad about doing it. So what she does is she just like goes to all of her wealthy friends and gets them to like raise money so that the low income people can continue to receive abortions. And then she teaches other people on staff how to provide the abortions. So they're all providing like, then they do this so much, and it becomes such a great system that it helped legalize abortion. So there's so many conversations around equity that actually do happen on screen in this film that I think are really important, that I will unpack by going to see it again. Maybe I'll go see it again tomorrow and then unpack it more. But I did just want to give my initial thoughts. It was a great film.